It's your girl, Professor Cinephile, and I'm back with another film review. Today, we are talking about the new Netflix film, Shirley. It is a film about Shirley Chisholm, the congresswoman who ran for president in 1972. It stars Regina King as Shirley. Terrance Howard is in there as Arthur. Who else? We got Lance Reddick. Lance Reddick, rest in peace. This might be his last like major role that we get. So shout out to him. We've got Christina Jackson, who I loved her in this film. But let's get into it. Let's get into Shirley. It does have a really stacked cast, so that's pretty exciting. Andre Holland from Moonlight is in there. Like it's pretty stacked, and I appreciated that. Okay, so let's start out with what's really good about the film. I love that they're telling Shirley Chisholm's story. Like that is super important. This is a history-making woman. If you don't know much about Shirley, please go and like Google her and just really read about how she really not just had an impact because she ran for president, just a lot of the things that she was able to change while she was in office as a congresswoman representing Brooklyn, right? Um, so definitely like that. I think that there was really good chemistry between most of the characters. It seems like they liked each other as actors and actresses. You can sometimes you can tell. You watch a film and you're like, oh my God, these people probably hate each other. So I thought that that was pretty cool. I think that I'm not a big fan of Terrance Howard, but I think he did all right. But he also didn't have much to say. She plays his second husband. He plays Shirley's second husband, Arthur. And I think that he pulled off the nuance of their budding love pretty well, but he wasn't on screen enough for us to get pissed off that it was Terrance Howard, which tends to happen sometimes. I'm sorry. Um, I liked that people who don't necessarily know much about her will learn some new things, right? And I think that whenever you have like a biopic, it's always good for folks to learn things, right? Because you sit there and you're just like, oh, I didn't know that. If they can give you some behind the scenes stuff that maybe doesn't make the Wikipedia page, that's always a good thing. And I think that you're going to get some of that with Shirley Chisholm's story. I forgot to give my spoiler alert. I mean, you've been here. If this is your first time, welcome, but I do have spoilers. So if you don't want any spoilers, come back and after you've seen it, and then you can finish watching it. Okay, so one of the things that people learn is actually something I didn't know about Shirley was that she met with Huey Newton at Diane Carroll's house. Now, I knew that there was some, communication between her campaign and the Black Panther Party, and I know that they went on to endorse her, but I didn't realize that it came from a meeting facilitated by Diane Carroll, and they met at her house. And Diane Carroll is played by the amazing, amazing Amira Van. Get into Amira Van. She is one of my favorite actresses of modern times. She is one of those folks. I think they did a whole article about her being a supporting character because she really kind of brings that energy to films. So I love seeing her. She was great. What else was good? I think it had a good pace to it. I think that kind of, we don't need to get all into like her story growing up and stuff like that. And I actually like that more biopics are kind of picking a moment in time in a person's life and kind of focusing on that. One Love did the same thing, and then I had an appreciation for that. I don't need a full spectrum thing. So I like that it was really kind of focused on her running for president. Uh, Costumes were cool. You can kind of see where I'm going with this, right? I'm trying to find the positive things. Would I have my kid watch it? Sure. All right, let's get into what's not so great. Oh man, this hurts. I wanted this to be so much better than it was. I really did, y'all. I wanted it to be so much better, but it just wasn't. It was lazy. It was done so lazily. I'm not sure why the people on the back end didn't take enough care to make sure that this film was actually going to be good. And what do I mean by that? There's a lot of inconsistency in this film. A lot of issues with props and inconsistent. When we talk about inconsistency, we talk about things like somebody smoking a cigarette. It's, you know, short in one scene, but then it's long in the next, and then it cuts back to being short, like within the same kind of, you know, few seconds or whatever. That's what we talk about inconsistency. Things like if somebody's eating and there's like a bowl of soup and you see the bowl of soup and then the next, like they cut away and then they cut back to them and it's like a cup of soup or something like that. You know, those kind of inconsistency things. There's a lot of those in this film. And it is messy. Like it starts to become distracting. And it's like, all right, did anybody edit this? Like, was anybody paying attention at all to this? It almost feels like it was rushed to put it out. I don't know how this was filmed. I don't know what was going on. You may or may not know Regina King did lose her son, and has like kind of fell back from Hollywood. And then there was the strike and things like that. We also know that Lance has passed away. So I don't know when this was made. I don't know when it was filmed, whether it was overtime or not. But they really did this film dirty on the back end, and it really it deserved to be cleaned up a little bit better. Uh, Regina King, I love her. I think she is an amazing actress. Uh, she did not do as well as Shirley Chisholm as I would have wanted her to. For one, she could not lock that accent down. If you don't know Shirley Chisholm is Bayesian. She's from her people are from Barbados. Regina just did not get that accent. And at the times where it seemed like she was maybe okay, she still reverted back to Regina King from Poetic Justice. Like, and that was really frustrating for me throughout the entire film. Like one sentence, she had the accent in the beginning, and then she's, you know, in Los Angeles at the end, or vice versa. Didn't even really have like a New York Caribbean accent, which, you know, it is what it is, but there, you know, that was a problem and it was distracting. Um, she she did her best. She did her, you know, she did what Regina did what she could do. And that's one of the issues with, like I mentioned this before when I was talking about like One Love and some other things. It's like when you try to have like African Americans playing Caribbean folks, or West African folks, or, you know, South African folks trying to play you know, Black Americans, you get sometimes you get caught up in the diction and the accents and things like that. So that was a problem. The film relied heavily on conversation and dialogue, which was to its detriment. This woman ran a history-making campaign. I mean, it was one of the most like amazing grassroots things that, you know, we've seen in the last like what 50 some odd years now, right? And we didn't get to see nearly enough of that. They skipped over so much, in my opinion. They tried to hint at certain things, and they gave you little snippets of things. I did like that they wove in some like real clips of people like Gloria Steinem and, you know, others kind of weighing in on Shirley, and so I thought that that was cool. But I don't know who was making the decisions about what parts of Shirley's story to put in or not. Like there was a lot going on at that time. And if you don't know that, then you're not going to miss much, right? So take that as that is. If you don't know, you don't know what you don't know. So maybe you can enjoy the film at not having known much, right? Um, I I enjoyed Lance Reddick. I think he was actually probably the best person in the whole film. I really did like that they gave us like some background on Barbara Lee. Barbara Lee, I've met Barbara Lee. I got a picture of Barbara Lee holding my book. You know, I've worked on legislation with her. She is an amazing woman. And it's really good to kind of see her getting her start campaigning with Shirley Chisholm, and kind of how she came into that, and seeing her as this radical young Black woman, and now looking where she is now. She's, you know, serving her community, and So I loved that. That's probably my favorite part of the whole film. And I had this smile on my face. But yeah, I think that was about it. This, unfortunately, um, the film is not, it's not bad. It's not horrible. It is watchable. I actually will say watch it. But I would say if you know a lot, if you know and love Shirley, you're gonna be like, "Oh, if you don't know much about Shirley, you'll get what you need to get out of it. And that's really, at the end of the day, that's what really matters. And I'm so happy that we're getting more stories of these heroes and these heroines who have done so much for our people. They deserve to have their stories told. So one way or the other, like, I'm glad that it happened. Just kind of critiquing it as a film, I just feel like, I think I'm really disappointed because it is a story of a prominent Black woman, a history-making Black woman, and it feels like they just did not put what they needed to put into this. It's just not right. It's not cool. It's kind of like what Tyler Perry does, and Shirley deserves better. Regina deserves better. Regina gave a lot into this role. This was something that was really important to her, and to have it kind of fall apart because of the actual filmmaking itself is problematic. But like I was saying, they relied heavily on dialogue. So it was a lot of talking, a lot of one-on-one conversations in this film. And I just think we could have had some more action. I think we could have had more scenes that kind of showed us what was going on in the world at the time, to really kind of bring us into the moment. They had little hints of it, but I think they could have done better with that. Overall, I'm going to give this 3.5 Purple Hearts. And that half is just for the culture, because sometimes we got to do that. So go check it out. I'm interested to see what you think. Whether you knew Shirley's story or not, let me know. Weigh in the comments and let's talk about Shirley.